sir.
Get started. Just a minute. So what was the last concept we discussed? We were discussing about the resistors in series and parallel, right?
Yes.
So I remember that as the last concept that we discussed. Now listen. So in today's class, we are going to discuss an important topic which is called as cell EMF and internal resistance. Okay. First of all, 1 minute. First of all, am I audible, guys?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, sir.
So, see, this is a very, very important concept. Okay. So, with respect to this chapter, this is the most important part that you need to understand for us to solve most of the problems. Okay. So, what do you mean by a cell here? What exactly do you mean by a cell?
Power source.
Cell is nothing but a power source which has a positive terminal and a negative terminal, right? So when I talk about these terminals, the positive and the negative terminals are basically nothing but electrodes dipped into a solution called as an electrolyte, right? If I have to speak in terms of chemical parameters, then I can say you have a positive and a negative electrode which is dipped into an electrolyte, okay, due to which an electrolysis is going to take place and the ions are going to move from one place to another, right? So how this concept of cell is relevant in physics is what we are going to see, okay? So let me show you the page and let me explain it from there itself, because there's a theory part. After explaining this theory, I'll give you a practical application of what we exactly do. Okay, so you have a cell like this. A cell has a positive terminal and a negative terminal. Now, if I take this electrolyte, which is going to be initially in the neutral state, then can I say that there is going to be a potential difference existing between this positive plate and this neutral surface? At this point, I will call the potential as V plus. Similarly, when a negative electrode is dipped into the electrolyte, what I can say is the electrolyte is neutral and the negative plate is obviously negatively charged. So there is going to be a potential difference that is existing between the negative plate and the electrolyte, which I will call it as V minus. I hope this point is clear, right? Right. Now the question is, if there is V plus existing and V minus existing, and if you are able to calculate, the mathematical difference between these two values, that is, what is V plus, guys? V plus is the potential difference or the potential of the positive terminal A, V minus the potential of the negative terminal A. So V plus minus V minus is nothing but the potential difference between the positive and the negative terminal. Am I right? So the difference between the potentials of the positive and the negative terminal, when, listen to this carefully, when there is no current flowing in this particular electrolyte, is what we call it as EMF, or in other terms we call it as electromotive force. Okay, let me give you a practical example of this. Suppose you go to a shop and try to buy a 9-volt battery. Okay, let's say you're going to an electronic shop. You're saying, sir, you're telling the shopkeeper that I need a 9-volt battery. So what is the unit and the measurement you're trying to tell him? That 9 volt is a specification of what? Or what does that signify with respect to the battery? What does it signify with respect to the battery? Guys, are you able to understand my question? So when you buy a battery and come, you're able to see 9 volt written on top of it. What does that 9 volt represent? Volt is the unit of which parameter?
Potential.
Potential difference. Right? You can say potential or potential difference. So the 9 volt that you're trying to tell the shopkeeper is nothing but the potential difference across something. Across what? Across the positive and the negative terminal of that particular cell or the battery. Accepted?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes.
Now, you're saying the potential difference, right? You're telling the potential difference to the shopkeeper in an open condition or a closed condition. When I say open condition, is it an open circuit or a closed circuit?
It's an open circuit.
It's an open circuit. So, to put it in very simple terms, you're actually not telling the potential difference across the terminals of the cell. Rather, you're telling the EMF of that cell to the shopkeeper. When you say that 9 volt, right, that 9 volt is a potential difference that is existing between the positive and the negative plate when it is not connected across any device. That 9 volt is what is technically called as the EMF of that particular cell. Guys, are you able to visualize it? Are you able to understand what I'm trying to say? Yes. So have this in your mind, because from here onwards we'll be using a term called as EMF and potential difference. You should not have any confusion. So EMF is also potential difference. Why I'm saying you should not have confusion is because EMF stands for electromotive force. Nowhere we didn't call it as electromotive potential. So what we will think EMF means it's force. No, EMF is potential difference existing between the terminals of a cell in an open condition. Seriya? No? I told you what is a cell. A cell is nothing but a simple arrangement of a positive and a negative terminal dipped into an electrolyte. Okay. So for that cell, if you are able to define the potential difference between the positive and the negative terminal when there is no current flowing in the electrolyte, that's what is technically called as electromotive force. Now, what is this internal resistance called as, guys? What do you mean by internal resistance? For that, we need to look at certain things on a microscopic level. So, when electrolysis is going to take place, what is going to be the outcome product from an electrolyte? So suppose I take an electrolyte which is going to be an NaCl salt. So NaCl forms what kind of a bond?
Ionic.
So when you say ionic, the ions are holding each other due to the electrostatic force. So when these electrodes are dipped into it, they get split into Na plus and Cl minus. Now they are free ions. So those free ions, what will happen? Na plus will develop some amount of electrostatic attraction towards the negative electrode, and Cl minus will develop an electrostatic attraction towards the positive electrode. As a result of which they start moving towards the opposite electrodes of their particular nature. When this is happening, there will be some internal resistance. There will be some opposition offered by the electrolyte to the flow of these ions, and that property exhibited by the electrolyte is what we call it as the internal resistance of that particular cell, and internal resistance is represented by the symbol small r. Guys, am I clear with this? So that's what we call it as smaller. So when you take a cell basically has two important parameters associated with it. One is the EMF and the second is the internal resistance associated with it. Clear? Now comes an important question. How are you going to represent a cell with an internal resistance? So if you talk about a cell whose EMF is E and its internal resistance is R, then you put it within a box like this. If you do this, then this is what is called as a cell with some internal resistance. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So please make a note of this particular diagram. Okay. Now comes an important question. Now comes an important question. Sir, you told me that potential difference between the terminals of an electrode in open condition is EMF. Then when can I use the word potential difference? Is EMF the term that I need to use it everywhere? No. EMF is used only under an open condition. So now you can put a question. So what will happen, or what should I call the term potential difference as when the circuit is closed? A logical question. Let's see what it should be called as. Okay. For that, let's take a simple diagram like this. EMF, internal resistance. Guys, listen to this. So this is a cell with some internal resistance. Now this is in which condition? Is it closed or open?
Open.
Open. Now, if I take a small bulb, so for a bulb I am drawing a resistor because the bulb also has some resistance associated. Now, if I construct a loop like this, it is going to form a closed circuit. In this closed circuit, I can say that this cell starts supplying a current I. Correct? It starts supplying a current I, due to which it is going to be in a particular loop. Now, if I take this point as A and if I take this point as B, then point A, if I say it has a potential A and point B has a potential B, then VA minus VB is called as the terminal potential difference. The reason I am calling it as terminal potential difference is because it is a potential difference existing across the terminals of a cell. Terminal means the positive terminal and the negative terminal. Terminal means end. So yeah, EMF is called, so E stands for the EMF of cell, I stands for the current, and small r stands for the internal resistance. Now listen to this carefully. The terminal potential difference VA minus VB will be equal to E minus the current flowing through the cell itself and R. Why I wrote this I into R is because I into R is what? It is a potential drop that is taking place across a resistor. Now the cell itself has some internal resistance and the current that is flowing through the cell is I. So from the original potential difference in the open condition, there is a slight decrease in value of the potential difference by value of IR. If you are able to calculate that E minus IR, then mathematically that is what is called as the terminal potential difference across the cell when cell is getting discharged. So what do I mean by discharge? That is when the cell is supplying energy to the external circuit. Clear, guys?
Yes, sir.
So remember this formula, this I derived it using the logic. In the future, I will derive it using a law. Okay? Now, we will proceed to just a minute. Now we will proceed to the next important topic that is called as Kirchhoff's laws. Okay. So Kirchhoff is the name of a scientist. So basically he proposed two laws called as the Kirchhoff's current law, which is also called as the junction law or junction rule, or it is also called as the node rule. Okay, am I clear, guys? So it's either called as Kirchhoff's current law, junction rule, or node rule. The second law is what we call it as Kirchhoff's voltage law, or this is also called as loop rule. Okay. Now listen. Now I am going to explain about the Kirchhoff's current law. Okay. Write down it. Okay, I'll give you a statement like this. So, if you have a point where three or two branches of a circuit are meeting, then this point is what is called as a node or junction. Okay. If I say the resistance here is R1, here it is R2, and here it is R3, listen to this carefully, okay? The value of R1, or the R1 is connected across the source in such a way that the current across R1 is towards the junction. Then current across R2 is away from the junction, and current across R3 is also towards the junction. Then the statement of Kirchhoff's current law is like this: sum of currents reaching a junction is equal to the sum of currents leaving the junction. Okay. So based on this, you guys tell me what is the relation between I1, I2, and I3. I1?
I1 plus I2.
Right. I1
plus
what did I
I3
write? Is
is
equal to, that's right. Because I1 and I3 are reaching, 1 minute. I1 and I3 are reaching the junction and I2 is leaving the junction. So sum of the currents reaching the junction is equal to the sum of currents leaving the junction. I hope you guys understood. This is what is called as Kirchhoff's current law. The alternate statement for it is, listen to this also carefully, algebraic sum of all the currents at a given junction is equal to 0. What does it mean? I'm using an important term here. I'm calling it as algebraic sum of all the currents at a given junction is equal to 0. As simple as that. What does that mean? Means you are free to choose a direction, you are free to choose a sign for the value of current depending on whether it is reaching towards the junction or away from the junction. For example, if you want to say that the current reaching the junction as positive, then the current leaving the junction will be taken as negative. So, can I say I1 plus I3 plus minus I2 is equal to 0? Did you guys understand what I wrote? This is what is meant by algebraic sum. So I took I1 and I3 as positive, that is towards the junction as positive, then the one that is leaving the junction will be negative. Okay. Next. So with the hope that you guys have understood this, I'm going to discuss about Kirchhoff's voltage law. Okay. So write down the statement, guys. So I'm not in a position to write it. Please write down. In a closed circuit, the algebraic sum of In a closed circuit, the algebraic sum of the EMFs in a closed circuit, the algebraic sum of the EMFs and the product of the algebraic sum of the EMF and the product of current and resistance of the device, product of current and resistance of the device is equal to 0. Is equal to 0. Okay. Now listen to this carefully. So before I go into this law, right, I forgot to mention one important point. Make a note here. Kirchhoff's current law, KCL, we call it as KCL. KCL is based on the law of conservation of charge law. So KCL is based on the law of conservation of charge. Okay? Now, coming back to Kirchhoff's voltage law, what does it state? It states that the algebraic sum of, can someone repeat it? In a closed circuit, the algebraic sum of the EMFs and the product of
current and resistance of the device is equal to 0.
Okay, let me tell you how that law can be applied. Okay, before that, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to take a very simple circuit where you have a cell of EMF E, internal resistance R and external resistance capital R. Okay, let me say the current is I. It's a closed circuit, right? Now, applying Ohm's law, solve this now. So when I apply Ohm's law, so what do I get? EMF is equal to current multiplied with what? Capital R plus small r. Did you guys understand how I got it? Because V is equal to I into R. Here R is nothing but capital R plus small r because they both are connected in series. Right? So can I write the same thing like this? E minus I into capital R minus I into small r is equal to 0. Okay? So what I'm trying to say here is, this kind of an expression is based on Ohm's law, and this is what is the mathematical expression for Kirchhoff's law. As simple as that. Okay, that is what I meant by the algebraic sum of the EMF and the product of current and resistance across each device is equal to 0. Now, there are certain steps to be followed while applying KVL. Steps to be followed to apply KVL. What are they? Listen. First, if you are moving from, underline the word you are. If you are moving from higher to lower potential of a cell, then sign of EMF is considered to be negative. And vice versa is positive. Clear? So let's say you have a cell and across the cell you are walking from higher to lower potential, then the sign of the EMF is considered to be negative. If it is reversed, that is you are moving from lower to higher, it is taken to be positive. Second, if you are walking in the direction of current, okay, if you are walking in the direction of current, then the value of IR is taken as negative and the vice versa is positive. So please make a note of these points. I am going to explain an important problem based on this. So here also underline UR. Okay. Now listen to this carefully. Okay. Let's do a problem based on this. Yes. So in this problem, the example problem, our job is to find the current through each resistor. Okay, let's get started. The first thing that you need to notice, they have given you I1, I2, I3, everything here, no? That will not be given in the exam. They will only give you a circuit or a network with cells and resistors. Okay, now listen to this carefully. So, whenever you start a problem, you should always look at the number of cells you have. So, how many cells you have in this problem? You have 2, 10 volt and the 5 volt. So, look for the one which has higher potential. So, 10 volt is having higher potential. So, from 10 volt, if I say I1 is supplied outside, okay, then this current I1 is going to the junction, okay. Listen to this carefully. I1 is given and I1 is going towards the junction. So from the junction, what will happen is the current will get split. Okay. If I say the current in the branch AB is taken as I2, then the current in the branch AD will be I1 minus I2. How did you get this? It's very simple. If I call this current as I dash, then according to the Kirchhoff's first law, I1 is equal to I2 plus I dash, because I1 is only supplying two types of currents. So I dash will be equal to I1 minus I2. So I1 minus I2 is here. Clear? So this I2 is going to reach the point B. Okay. So before it is reaching the point B, in this problem what they have done is, they are saying that the 5 volt battery is supplying a current of I3. All these are assumption variables only. Nothing is for sure. Okay. This partial current I2 came from I1 and I3 is the current supplied by the battery of 5 volt. So I2 and I3 are reaching towards the junction B. So according to Kirchhoff's voltage law, if the currents are reaching the junction B, there should be some current which is leaving from there. So the current leaving the junction will be equal to the sum of the currents entering the junction. That is why it is I2 plus I3. So confirm guys, are you clear till this step? Any doubt?
Yes, sir, clear. Sir.
Clear. Okay. Now see, I1 minus I2 is reaching the point D. Correct? Now, you listen to this carefully. From I2 plus I3, what is happening is at junction C, I1 is going back to the cell of 10 volt. So here the thumb rule to be kept in your mind is whatever is the current supplied by the battery, the same current will come back to itself. That is, if the battery of 10 volts supplies a current of I1, the same current I1 comes back to it. By default, it will happen. Okay. In a similar way, I3 is the current supplied by 5 volt battery. The same current I3 is reaching back. When that is the case, from I2 plus I3, I1 is gone away from point C. Then how much will be the current here? If I call this as I double dash, then I2 plus I3 will be equal to I1 plus I double dash according to the Kirchhoff's current law. So I double dash will be equal to I2 plus I3 minus I1. Sharia? I2 plus I3 minus I1, as simple as that. So that is why you have I2 plus I3 minus I1. Now, I1 minus I2 is towards point D, and I2 plus I3 minus I1 is also towards point D. Then how much will be the current that is coming back to the original circuit? It is going to be I3. How did you get this I3? You add I1 minus I2 and I2 plus I3 minus I1, you will get it as I3. Okay, so this is how the current in the whole circuit is split. I'll just give you a minute, 30 seconds time. Just go through and let me know if you have any doubt. So no doubts means I think everyone is clear, right? So I'll proceed to the second application. So here I wanted to tell one important point. Though there are two laws, Kirchhoff's current law and the Kirchhoff's voltage law, it is not like one problem will demand only Kirchhoff's current law and the other will demand Kirchhoff's voltage law. Both in the same problem, both these laws have to be applied simultaneously. Okay. Now, first thing that we did is we used the Kirchhoff's current law. Now we will apply KVL. So for us to apply KVL, we need to choose certain loops. So what are the loops that we are going to choose? Observe. So if I take the loop ABCA, if I take the loop ABCA, okay, then when I go from A to B, look at the way I'm going to write, guys. When I go from A to B, how many electrical components am I encountering? When I take the loop ABCA, and when I go from A to B, how many electrical devices am I encountering? It's a simple question which they ask.
One.
One, sir.
It is one. So across that one device, there will be a potential drop of how much value? There will be a potential drop of 4 into I2, because I2 is the current across the resistor of 4 ohm. So yeah, 4 I2 is the potential drop. Is it going to be positive or negative according to the sign convention that I gave you? If you are walking in the direction of current, then the value of IR is taken as negative. So A to B is the direction of current. So this is the direction of current, this is the direction in which you are walking. So 4I2 is going to be
Minus, sir.
right. So A to B is over. Now you go from B to C, what will happen? It is I2 plus I3 multiplied with how much? You guys tell me. I2 plus I3 is the current, multiplied with 2.
2 ohms.
With 2 ohm. Now, is it positive or negative?
Negative, sir.
Negative. Okay. Similarly, when you go from C to A, how many devices are you encountering? You are encountering a resistor and an EMF source. So when you're going from C to A, you have a potential drop of I1 into 1. Is it positive or negative? That is also negative.
Negative.
And you have an EMF of 10 volt. Across the 10 volt, when you're going from C to A, you're walking from lower to higher potential. Lower to higher potential is positive. Okay. Sum of all these values put together is 0. This is the meaning of Kirchhoff's voltage law. Did you guys understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the other loop that we can think of? You can think of the loop ACDA. When you take the loop ACDA, who can tell me the equation? When you go from A to C, you are encountering a battery and a resistor. You are encountering a battery and a resistor. So across the battery, how much is the EMF? 10. Is it positive or negative? When you go from A to C.
Negative, sir.
Very good. Negative. Similarly, across a resistor, it is going to be
Minus.
I1 into 1. Perfect. Is it minus 1? Check it.
Yes, sir. Minus, sir.
Plus 1 because you are walking in the direction opposite to current.
Okay, sir.
Got it? Similarly, when you go from C to D, what will happen? I2 plus I3 minus I1 multiplied with how much? Multiplied with 2. Multiplied with 2. Is it negative or positive? That is what I am more concerned about.
Negative, sir.
Negative.
Okay. Perfect. Next, when you go from D to A, are you guys able to understand when I put this arrow mark on top like this? I'm putting a curved structure, right? An arc kind of thing. Are you able to understand? So, what I do is I always have a checkpoint. When I go from A to C, the number of devices I'm encountering should be equal to the number of terms I write here. So when I go from D to A, it is I1 minus I2 multiplied with 4 with a positive sign.
Sign.
Should be equal to 0. Okay. So logic is very simple. When you take a particular loop, the number of elements should be equal to the number of terms in the expression. EMF, this thing, and this thing. So there are 4 terms. Then your equation is right. Right in the sense, you have not missed anything. If it has to be right, you need to be sure about the sign convention also. So one important point I would like to add here is, how many unknowns are there? I1, I2 and I3. So 3 unknowns means you need to take 3 loops. So the number of unknowns is equal to the number of loops that you need to consider. You tell me another loop that we can consider. So can I take BCDD? Or I will take the loop ABDA. When I go from A to B again, when I go from A to B, I'll write it a little fast. Minus 10 plus I1. When I go from B to D, so when I go from B to D, I am able to see only one active element. So B to D, I am walking from higher to lower potential. So minus 5 When I go from D to A is I1 minus I2 multiplied with 4. With the positive sign should be equal to 0. So 3 unknowns and I have written 3 equations. Now it is your job to solve and see what is the right answer. So I'll give you 30 seconds time to copy it. In the meanwhile, if you get any doubt, please let me know. Done? So based on this logic, we will try to solve another problem. Listen to this, guys. So we will take another problem and solve it. So this problem. So determine the current in each branch of the network which is shown in the figure. Now listen to this. Okay, here in this problem, how many cells do you have? You have only one cell. So from this one cell, let's say the current supplied by the cell is I. So at this junction, what will happen? The current will get split into two parts. What are the two parts that it is going to be? Here, if the current is I1, what will be the current here? I asked a very basic question, guys. If I is the total current supplied by the battery, okay, if I1 is the current through the 10 ohm resistor, then how much current will flow through the 5 ohm resistor? Is it not going to be I minus I1? Similarly, this I1 is going towards the point B. From point B, let's say I2 is taken from I1, then how much is the remaining current that will flow in the branch BC?
I1 minus I2.
Okay. I1 minus. So I minus I1 is reaching the junction and I2 is also reaching the junction. So how much current will leave the junction? Be confident and tell. It is slightly big expression. It will be I minus I1 plus I2. Right? So I1 minus I2 is reaching the junction C and I minus I1 plus I2 is reaching the junction C. Now how much will be the current that is leaving the junction C? Even without any calculation, you guys can tell me confidently. So what is the current left by the battery? This I. So what will be the current? It will receive it back. It is going to be I. You will get a simple I by adding these two. That's it. Okay. So determine the branch in each circuit. Now the question is, how many variables did we introduce? I, I1 and I2. 3 variables, 3 equations. Okay. So 3 variables, 3 equations means 3 loops. So here, one basic point I want everybody to make a note is, when any problem is being solved on KVL or KCL, okay, when you're taking a particular loop, you need to ensure that the loop has, at least one of the loop has a battery in it. I repeat it, you need to ensure that at least one of the loops has a battery in it. Why I am saying it is because in this problem, if you say ABCDA, now ABDA is a loop where there is no battery. BCDA is a loop where there is no battery. ABCDA is a loop where there is no battery. So you can think, why don't I take these three loops and solve the problem? You will not get the answer. Okay, because when you write it like that, it is almost like two equations are going to be the same. You will get infinite solutions. You will not be able to solve it. So in order to get the solution, what you need to do is, you need to take at least one loop where there is a battery that is getting involved. Okay, shall we start writing the equations? Now taking the loop ABDA. When I go from A to B, it is 10I1. I am walking in the direction of current, so minus. Similarly, when I go from B to D, it is 5I2. I am walking in the direction of current, so minus. When I go from D to A, it is 5 into I minus I1. I am walking in the direction opposite of current, so it is going to be plus. This whole thing put together will be equal to 0. So to cross verify, what you can do is 1, 2, 3. So 3 elements and 3 terms in the equation. Okay. Similarly, if I take the loop BCDB, if I take the loop BCDB, B to C is going to give me B to C is going to give me I1 minus I2 multiplied with, okay, I1 minus I2 multiplied with 5 and a negative value. Correct? Now when you go from C to D, what will happen? 10I2 with a positive value. When you go from D to B, it is 5I2 with a positive sign. The sum of all these values is equal to 0. Is there any doubt, guys?
No, sir.
Now I will take this as E and this as F. Now look at the way I am going to take. I will take A, B, C, E, F, A. So A to B minus 10I1, B to C minus 5 into I1 minus I2, C to E nothing because it's a wire, E to F is plus 10 minus 10I. Okay, F to A there is nothing. All these things put together is 0. So 3 loops, 3 unknowns and 3 equations were formed. So with this, it is your job to solve this problem. Okay, just copy it. So are you guys done? Done? Okay. So is there any other doubt from today's class, guys? So the concepts that are left out are Wheatstone bridge, meter bridge, potentiometer. Okay, and I need to explain something called as color coding of resistors. This is a very small concept. So these are all the concepts that are left out. Okay. So the continuation, the application of Kirchhoff's law is going to be Wheatstone bridge. The application of Wheatstone bridge is meter bridge. Potentiometer is an independent device, and the color coding of resistors is also an independent topic. Yeah, after this I have cells in series and parallel. Okay, keeping all these points in mind, maximum I can finish it in 3 more classes. One important point is I will not be teaching potentiometer now because you cannot understand unless you do an experiment of it. Let's say, let some time get passed. So once you are clear with all the other concepts, then I will explain potentiometer. Anyways, there is a recorded video also. Last year itself, I have recorded a clear video on potentiometer. I'll be giving it for your reference for the exam purpose, but you will understand it better only if you do the experiment. Okay. So I cannot start Wheatstone bridge. That is the reason I'm winding up the session. So assuming there is no doubt from today's class, is there anyone having a doubt?
No, sir.
That's good. Okay. So go through the concept of Kirchhoff's rules. Also try to solve these two problems and get the answers so that your calculations also become faster. Okay. So tomorrow I'll start Wheatstone bridge, and if possible I'll teach meter bridge also. Actually, I can complete both the topics tomorrow. Okay, I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.